Hello and welcome into another edition of Sitting Down with Sgar. I am the voice of Georgetown football, Jeremy Huber, joined by the head coach of the Hoyas, Rob Sgarlata. Coach, thanks again for joining us.
Jeremy, great to see you.
Good to see you too. And coach, obviously a bit of a disappointing loss against Columbia, quality team that Al Bagnoli has, but score kind of got away from you late in the game. I guess we'll kind of start off asking it this way. Where do you and your staff kind of reconcile what the final score ended up being with the fact that really you guys are a third down stop away from going into the half, maybe down 6-0, and it being a completely different ball game?
Yeah, it's one of those games you wish you get a chance to play again. Unfortunately, you get it once every year. So, there are a lot of key plays. We talk about them as CC plays, like the ones that you have to have, and those are built throughout the week. So, if you look at what we did on third down and some of those critical plays within the game, we really just took a good look at those this week. Tried to figure out, how we can prepare to be better this week against Fordham in those situations. And, I agree with you. The score, I didn't think really told the story of the game, but that's what we wound up with. So, really looking to improve, how we are in the red zone on offense and how we're going to wind up being able to defend Fordham on third down this weekend.
And coach, sticking with Columbia, you talked about good plays and big plays. Josh Tomas continues to do that. It's a second 100-yard receiving game of the season by my count. Again, you were talking to some of the Fordham folks earlier, just talked about how much of a player Josh is and kind of that old school mentality. If he's going to kind of, you roll the ball out, he plays.
Yeah.
Talk about what he does for your team and what he's been doing so far this season.
He's consistent. He's the same person every day, and that person is extremely competitive. I've been doing this for a long time, 28 years coaching and, 32 years here total on the hilltop. And he's got to be in the top 2-3 people as far as being competitive, coming to practice every day and putting the work in. So, he's one of the reasons, that you get into coaching is to be able to interact on a daily basis with somebody like him on the field.
Coach, another guy, really some focus we have to put on. Dorian Moultrie, he had the big kickoff return, 70 yards, and ended up winning Patriot League Special Teams Player of the Week. Help kind of get you guys back in the game, set up your touchdown on Saturday. And of course, Dorian's a guy who has struggled with some injury on his time on the hilltop, but this year is kind of finally showing what he can do. Talk about him and how proud you are of what Dorian's been able to do this year.
Yeah, give Dorian a lot of credit. He fought through some injuries, mainly with a hamstring, which is a tough injury. And he's really shown everybody else what we've seen in practice. He is an elite level player in the Patriot League. He has the ability to help you in the return game as well as a receiver. And is a very physical blocker on the edge, which I don't think he gets enough credit for in our screen game and in our run game. So great to see him get some recognition, and he's had a great start to the season, and I'm looking forward to him continuing that throughout the next couple games here.
Coach, one more on the Columbia game before we move on to Fordham. And you mentioned your offense, maybe converting some more 4th and 1s, 3rd and 1 short yardage. Your defense has struggled, and it feels like injuries have been an issue, but especially on the defensive line, a lot of key guys are out. How do you kind of deal with something like that where some key guys to your success are not there and you still have to find a plan to be competitive and win games?
Yeah, we play every Saturday, so it's a next man up mentality. I give Coach Burns, our defensive line coach, Corey Burns, a lot of credit with getting some of our younger players great experience playing time. So, we're never going to use any of the injuries as an excuse. It's a performance deal. I think we were 14-18, giving up on third downs, and that's something that we know to win football games that we have to improve on that. So, Coach Doherty's done a good job throughout the week of putting a good plan together for Fordham coming up. And that's something that we just work on the 1% every day, trying to improve and cut our mistakes in half and make sure that we're putting people in position so they can make plays to their ability.
Rob, I went back and did a little research, and I came up on the 2017 season where, a little like this year, you had some big totals lit up by the defense, but second half of the season, that defensive unit kind of buckled down and played good Hoya defense and really set the stage for the 18 and 19 seasons and the success you had there. Is there any lessons that you and the staff can kind of take from that year and push it forward 5 years?
Yeah, we were talking about this before. It's In my opinion, you're just trying to get yourself better every day. And I know it sounds like coaching cliche and the 1%, but it's the truth. And throughout that progression from 17 to 18 into 19, especially on defense, you started to see that show up as guys gained experience, understood the scheme, and really just kept playing with relentless effort. So, we have a very good group on defense. They take a lot of pride in getting everybody into the picture and running to the football. And I think when you have a group that believes in what we're doing, from trying to create a relentless attitude and an effort-based group, I think that you can play very good defense. The number one thing, Jeremy, for us is we need to eliminate the explosive plays that we've given up. At times throughout the season, we've had great stretches, and then there'll be one or two plays here where we give up on explosive. So we've talked a lot about that, analyzed why that's happening, and hopefully we can, be ready for a very explosive Fordham offense this weekend, as we keep trying to get that progression to go the way we want on defense.
Rob, of course, not the first time you've been up to the Big Apple since the pandemic, but first time you've been in the Bronx since then. Last time you were there, you had a win over Fordham, taking a close one, a defensive battle. What do you remember from that game?
I remember our defense coming up big at the end of the game. The first name that jumps into my head is Jethro Francois. He had a couple pressures and had a big interception. Get a pick, take a pick on the sideline. Our players will remember that. But, one of the biggest things I remember also was after the win, being able to come over to the stands and see the New York Hoya football family that was there in force, and being able to celebrate a win, with this, this is a great rivalry game with Fordham. It dates back. I've gotten contacted by a ton of our alums this week that started, playing against Fordham, throughout the series. And it's a big, important game for us. So my biggest memory is, having our alums there and having our families there to help celebrate the win.
When you talk about this Fordham team, you have to start with the quarterback, Tim DeMorat, and Emery Hunt and I, my broadcast partner, joked, amazing that he's back in the Patriot League, considering how many FBS schools have trouble at the quarterback spot. He is a challenge. Have you seen guys better than him in your time coaching at Georgetown?
There's been some really good coaches in really good quarterbacks within the Patriot League. I think one of the things that separates DeMorat is he's extremely accurate, especially this year. It's something that you can really see in the first four from him. So, yeah, he does a really good job putting pressure on you, throws a great deep ball. So, he'll be a challenge this weekend. And I also think it plays into one of our strengths in our secondary. So we told our kids all week, these are the games that you play the game for, and especially within the league, to have a chance to defend an offense like this. So we're excited for the challenge.
And of course, he has a lot of great weapons, including Fotis Kokosoulis, up around 300 yards receiving last week in that close loss against Ohio. Fordham defense has some great players as well, and kind of the DeMorat of the defense, if you will. Ryan Greenhagen, been there forever. What stands out about him to you when you see him on film?
It's tough. We talked about Tomas being an old school throwback player. I think Greenhagen fits into that mold as well. He's a every down linebacker. And by that, I mean, he shows up on their special teams, and he does a lot of things for them overall. So, yeah, I feel like we've seen him about 10 years in a row, that with the quarterback as well. But he anchors their defense, and, he does a great job against the run. So, it'll be great to see, how we can establish our run game against them on defense, and continue to work on getting ourselves better with the challenges that they present on offense and defense.
Rob, you actually have a couple former Rams assistants on your staff, and Jamison Zacharias and Steve Thames. Again, when you have guys like that coming from another program, is there some inside information you're able to glean when it helps the game planning? How does that kind of work?
I think we're all in this business and understand that guys go from staff to staff. So I think there's insight into personnel, which I think is really critical with Jay-Z having been there recently. But, overall, so much changes from year to year that, there's a little bit of something in there. But I wouldn't put a ton of stock in that.
Sticking with those two coaches, I heard you and your other staff and the kids kind of really appreciate what they've brought to the program. How important was it adding that duo to your coaching staff?
Yeah, we went and recruited both of them to come, back here to DC. And we always look for a couple things. The number one thing I'm looking for in our staff is our great teachers, detail-oriented folks that understand what Georgetown is, what we're about. Will take care of our players on and off the field, and also understand that they're primarily teachers. And I think both Jay-Z and Steve have done that. They run great rooms. Kids play extremely hard, and they've been a huge asset to our staff.
Rob, you talk about teachers and really growing these guys, not only as football players, but as men. It kind of ties into our CSU spotlight this week. 4 for 40, one of the pillars that your program is kind of built on. Can you tell the Hoya fans what exactly 4 for 40 is and why it's so important to what you're building?
Yeah, we're a journey-based program. We think about the 4 years at Georgetown should challenge you, on the field, in the classroom, socially, being in one of the greatest cities in the world in Washington, D.C. So that 4-year journey here, our president, who's a Georgetown football alum, Jack DeJoya, talks about your formation. It's really what's going to make you up and the experiences that you have that prepare you for what you're going to do afterwards. Whether that's taking a shot to play at the next level in the NFL, to the myriad of things that our alums do, from Wall Street to law and med to all the things that we talk about in the 440 journey. These experiences and the days that they're going through now with having to get up, go to breakfast, come to meetings, go to class, go to treatment, come back, watch film, all those things are developing our guys. So they're prepared for all the challenges they have with their families, their careers, and everything that is out there after Georgetown. So the 440 journey really talks about magis, the trying to get to more. That's the 1% we talk about, and that daily improvement each day as they're going through their formation, throughout their time on the hilltop.
One last one for you, Rob, and we'll wrap it up. Some kudos go out to Mac Hollensteiner, named semifinalist for the Campbell Trophy, as they kind of call it, the academic Heisman. Of course, we kind of bragged on Hollensteiner on our last show, so I kind of want to give a little bit of shine to his kind of co-leader on that offensive line, Neil Azar. Of course, he's a guy that Alex Colt talks about, really a leader, a brilliant guy up front, helps out so much in his group and the program overall. Talk about Neil and what he contributes to the Hoya team.
Yeah, Neil's a mainstay. He's been with us. He's played a lot of football. I think that room has a lot of fun together. Coach Colt does a great job with them. And I think one of the biggest things in that group specifically is I personally think playing O-line as a freshman is the hardest thing athletically to do in college athletics. It's a really tough spot. And if you look how our offensive line has developed over the last 4 to 5 years with Coach Colt and that group led by Mac and Neil, it's just a credit to how they've taken care of, mentored, and brought along, the younger players in that group. So it's one of our deepest groups. It's one of our most talented groups. And I think that's got a direct correlation to the leadership from the players as well as Coach Colt.
Well, Coach, again, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck this weekend against the Rams.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Jeremy.
He's Rob Sgarlata. I'm Jeremy Huber. Remember, Hoya's 1:00 Eastern starts against Fordham this weekend. Make sure you catch it online or in person if you're in the New York area. For Rob Sgarlata, I'm Jeremy Huber, and our producer, Dylan Smith, saying so long. This has been Sitting Down with Scar and Hoya Saxa.